I just want to talk a little bit about crypto. I've been staying away from talking about it for a lot of reasons. And by the way, I'm just gonna kind of free talk. This is not gonna be a video on like what cryptos to buy. I'm not even really gonna tell you like what exchanges. Like this is not a crypto tutorial. I just want to put out like sort of where I'm at with it, like where my thoughts are with it, how I see it, and kind of what I'm going to be doing with it or have been doing with it. Yeah, it's mainly going to be like more like warnings, things to watch out for, and try to put it in a perspective that, especially if you're new, hopefully this might kind of help you understand a little bit better if my voice doesn't run out. Also, I want to apologize for not posting in a while. I don't know who I have to apologize to, but I've been having some like headaches for the last couple weeks. It's actually been like almost like a persistent headache for about 2 weeks now, and it's been messing up my sleep, and I've been having trouble kind of focusing on like working and stuff like that. So I've honestly just been kind of like relaxing, watching like old classic movies and stuff like that, which has been really good. And my headaches are starting to go away, or be a little bit better. So that's good. I was worried it was gonna like last forever. So yeah, I'm feeling better, and gonna start getting more into this. But yeah, I am now definitely a lot more interested in crypto. I am actively putting more money into it. I just feel like the gains are like what the market is just terrible right now. It's so reflective in a weird way of like what goes on in the media and whatever the president says. Anyone mentions like bonds or inflation, any of these crazy things, or taxes, and then the market just crashes. And it's honestly like really frustrating to watch because people look at their stocks, and then they look at their companies, and then they like blame, oh, what's wrong, with my stock, or like what's wrong with this company. The anger and is so misplaced. It has nothing to do with the companies. Like, I feel bad for these companies that are working hard, doing the best they can, and because of something on TV, they start getting harassed by people, or people are selling off their stocks, not believing in them anymore, when they have zero control over what the media says and how people respond to these different things. So, yeah, it's been really sad to see. And, I do think that, assuming that stocks, because the crypto game is, I think, going to change sort of the landscape of stocks. But I've said before, like I do think that both things can kind of move forward, like synergistically. I don't think it's like, oh, it's going to be only crypto, or only stocks or whatever. Like, no, I think both are going to exist, and they're just two different things, right? Like with a company, you have something real that you can look at, like with a product and like a service. You can buy the thing, you can go to the store, or whatever. You can hire that person, use their software. It's tangible things that you can look at, and so that's a very big difference between like obviously stocks and crypto, where you don't have that same sort of tangibility, and it's harder to like really look behind the curtains on a crypto. A lot of times it's just like looking at their website, maybe reading the white paper, which again, like if you don't have like a computer science degree or a physics background, or if you're not an engineer, then reading a white paper, I mean, it's only going to do so much for you. And every crypto is going to have their own white paper. A lot of them are going to be similar because they're based on sort of similar like principles and protocols, whatever. Stocks have been very, very good to me over the last few months. And then that bull market ended, the bubble popped. To me, this is buying time for stocks. Like, I've been loving it because all my favorite companies and stocks, is the whole market has just gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And so, assuming that the stock market kind of gets back on its feet and, rebalances itself, that, there's a ton of money that stands to be made. But admittedly, even though I do invest for like the year, the 2 year, 5 year, 10, 20 year, I still get impatient too, even though I love all these red days and this is how you make money. It'd still be nice to see something green, right? We all want that, or maybe have something that we do want to like cash out or sell, and or maybe take and then take those profits, which is what I used to do. Is like I would have a stock, it would do really well. I would maybe like split the profits, or whatever. It would depend on the situation, but then put that into other companies that I saw as like new opportunities, and just kind of keep going from there, right? And that's how I was able to make a decent amount of money. And that's not really the case anymore because it just keeps going down and down. Every once in a while, like there's a pump on something or some good news, like, but it's not the same as it was before. I do think it can get back to it, but yeah, it's not happening right now. So yeah, I would still say, buy, hold for the long term. Don't overinvest. Don't throw all your money in one day or one week. I really think it's important to have, like, I would say right now, always have at least a third of like your cash or your capital for investing on the side. Don't have it all in, because these drops keep happening, and so you don't want to get stuck. Let's say a stock is, you buy it and it's a good deal at $50, but you go all in, and then it drops to $30, but you don't have the cash on the side to get it at 30. So even though you might be like, oh, I want to buy this stock because it used, like, let's say it used to be $100 and then you bought it at 50 and you're like, oh, this is such a steal. I'm going to go all in on it because it's going to get back to $100 or maybe even higher. But then when it drops to 30 and then 20 or whatever, you're like, like if I had only just kept that, I'd be making even bigger gains because you're able to get more stock with the same amount of money. And then if it runs up away and, and it didn't drop from that 50 down, then you've got some cash on the side. You can still buy that stock, or maybe there's another opportunity. But because the market has just been like bleeding so much, I highly recommend don't overinvest so that you can keep buying these dips, because things just keep getting cheaper and cheaper. I wasn't even expecting that. Like, this wasn't happening when I was like super serious in investing. Like, things didn't get affected in the same way. So that's why I'm looking at these crypto, and basically, the reason I'm definitely more into it now, like for sure, is one, I've just been learning more about it and watching it, talking to people, watching videos, doing a lot of reading. And so I've always known that I'm going to do more, but it's time. And the reason for that is, I got into, and I want to be clear, this is not a tutorial. I'm not telling you what to buy. I don't care if I mention an exchange or a particular coin or anything. I'm not endorsing anything. So I'm going to bring up Doge. I'm not telling you to buy Doge, okay? I don't care if you buy Doge. That's your thing or not your thing, right? And that's the case with every single crypto. And I'll get into like sort of my philosophy, because there's different types of cryptos, and different ways of looking at it. And again, each person and each investor is going to have their different things that they're looking for, things that matter to them, things that don't matter to them. Right? A thing that might, or a few things that might matter to me a lot about a certain cryptocurrency, someone else might not give a shit about. And that's totally fine. We don't have to all do it the same way. I do ask that, if you do get into the crypto game, that you not like shit talk other coins or other communities. Like, that's honestly pretty terrible, which is why I try to stick with ones, and again, you don't have to copy me, but I try to stick with the ones that to me are more positive and supportive. It's really cool to have like one community that loves a particular coin support another cryptocurrency, and those communities get along. So even if they don't invest in each other's, although a lot of times there is some cross investing there, that's to me a lot better, rather than having these like internet wars of people just bickering and talking shit about each other and taking it personal and whatever. It's just like, we just all want to make money, and then we all maybe want to support these cool projects or whatever the mission is behind the coin. So but yeah, I'm losing my train of thought, but like, I want to talk about real quick about like, I'm just going to assume you don't know anything about crypto, and maybe you've been waiting to get into it, and then you look at it and it is overwhelming at first. Once you kind of get into it, it does start to make sense, and it is pretty easy. But if you've never done it before, there's so many coins, there's so many exchanges, so many apps. And then even if you have like a particular app and a coin you want to get, you might have another coin and you can't use either like exchange. You might need a new app, a new whatever. I'll explain that in a second though, because my analogy for it is going to be, if you're familiar with, there's normal stocks that you can buy in like a Robinhood. Then the more known stocks, if you're on Webull, you'll have access to some more lesser known stocks that are like penny stocks. And then if you really get into it, and if you have like an Ameritrade account or possibly a few others, you can get into like the OTC. And basically, these are going to be companies that are literally penny stocks. Like a penny stock could still be one that's like 50 cents or $1. I think some people will consider like, I think $2, maybe even $3 still like a penny stock. Depends who you're talking to. But in the OTC, there's like literally like stocks that are like a penny or a fraction of a penny. So like that, but so why I bring that up is crypto is kind of more like that space where, and the reason why is because, so when you look at these OTC stocks, which is like over the counter, and again, it's a very different, like, to be on like Robinhood, you have to have like SEC filings. You have to, show your earnings. You have to give a lot of information, and it needs to be correct, right? Like you can't be lying or defrauding investors. When you get into these like super penny stocks that are incredibly cheap, they're small companies. Sometimes they're struggling companies or startups or whatever, or near bankrupt companies, basically. They actually don't have to be so transparent. They don't even have to file information in the same way. It's it's a huge gamble, and so kind of like crypto, you can make incredible gains in these penny stocks, but you can also lose a lot, and so it's a very very dangerous market, but high risk, high reward. And so my sort of analogy before I get into it is a lot of crypto, when you start trying to buy these obscure ones, it's kind of going to be like okay, imagine that you want to buy a company, but let's say it's like based in China or based in Europe. So what happens with these like crypto when you try to get into them, and again, if it's a main coin or like a stable coin, like if you go on Coinbase or like a more prominent exchange, you can just buy coins with like cash, right? You deposit your funds and then you trade it into Bitcoin or Ethereum or all these different other ones, right? But when you get into these ones that I want to talk about more, the ones where you can make crazy amounts of money, like I just had a stock that went 20x, like the amount I put in increased by 20 times, right? And also like with Doge, I had a 10x, you know what I mean? My money increased by 10 times the amount of what I put into it. And so that's what I'm more interested in now, and that's why I'm talking about this, because looking at the market, it's just been red and red and red. And of course, like, yeah, I want to invest for the long term. I want to make money down the road, but I also want to make money now. I'm human, and it's still not even about the money. It's just the fun of it to me. Like I really don't care how much I like gain or lose. It's more just like doing the research and work, and then sort of that validation of knowing that I'm kind of on the right path of my research or my thinking or whatever. So it still is more about that to me. Like when I see a particular crypto or whatever that goes crazy and I didn't put enough money into it, or I didn't buy it at all, I don't care. I really, really don't. So just putting that out there too. And so maybe you really care, but I don't. I just see it a little bit different. I'll talk about like sort of the different kinds, because you're going to have or actually I'll break it down with like what I look for right now, because I actually think that's one of the most important things that people are sort of lacking, is sort of an understanding of like how market cap works. An example is going to be, Dogecoin, where people have like an expectation like, oh, I've got a couple of Dogecoins, and then they look at Bitcoin and they're like, oh, let's say I have 100 Dogecoin, and then you're like, oh, maybe someday this could be worth what a Bitcoin is worth, right? Like $55,000-$60,000 per coin. That's not going to happen. That will never, ever, ever happen. And so what you need to understand is that for every crypto, you got to look at how many coins there are. So an example is, I forget. Okay, there's like for Dogecoin, there's billions of coins. I think it's like 129 billion coins right now. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's a fixed number of 21 million, which is an insane difference between billions, 100 and whatever billion. Right now, Bitcoin is worth market cap around $1 trillion, right? If you take the total sum of all the Bitcoin, it's worth about $1 trillion. If you take all of Dogecoin right now with its billions of coins or hundreds of billions of coins, its market cap is, I believe, around like 60 to 70 billion, okay? So, and it's at like 40 to 50 cents as of right now. So, just to put it in perspective, if the entire market cap and value of Dogecoin were to become the same, like a 1 trillion to match Bitcoin, a single Dogecoin will be about $8 to $10 or so. Okay. Not 50,000, not 10,000, not even 100. Okay. So if it gets to two, then it'll be maybe, $15 or so, $16 per coin, which would be $2 trillion, right? So, yeah, my voice is going to run out, but so just to like kind of maybe refresh your expectations when it comes to these cryptos, because another one, I'm not even going to mention the name of it, but there's this other coin where people are like, oh, when it gets to a dollar, I'll be rich. And this is one that I have, and I have 13 million of these coins, but there's 395 trillion coins for this particular cryptocurrency, which so basically it would have to hit a market cap of like $400 trillion, which is pretty much more than the value of the entire economy of the world just into one crypto for that thing to hit, a dollar. And also, like, I'll just say, like, that's one that I just put a little bit of money into, 20, $40 or something turned into like $500, which is a really good return. Like, I wasn't even expecting that. And of course, maybe I wish I'd like put more money into it, but like, again, like, I don't care. But the point is that like the idea that my 20, or $40 or whatever would become $13 million. And then of course, imagine that people put in $1,000 or put in $1 million. Then those people would be trillionaires, and someone who put in a few $1,000s would be a billionaire, or it's like, or like who put in like $10,000 would be like a billionaire. So it's just like, or maybe 100,000. But anyway, yeah, it's just yeah. So like when you're looking, or when I'm looking at these different cryptos. That's what I look for actually first, is the market cap, and the reason why this is important is that same coin that I put money into got up to a market cap of $13 billion, but just a few weeks ago, I don't think it even had a billion. I think it went from basically nothing, like only having maybe a couple $1 million to having billions of dollars. And that's what was responsible for rising so much and having like a 20x, 30x, 50x return. Like, so that's like literally 50,000%. You get 30,000% on your initial investment, which doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. Which is again why I'm going to be taking it a little bit more seriously, because it's a lot more fun to turn like $20 or whatever amount. It could have been $2,000. Because if it was $200, then it would have turned into like $5,000. If it was $20,000, $500,000. So crazy money to be made. But now that I've said that and it sounds so cool and fun, let me also be really clear: the exact opposite can happen. Like, it's super high risk and high reward. So at the same time, and this is super, super, super important, at the same time that it's possible to turn $50 into like, $2,000, it's just as possible to turn $2,000 into $50. That coin can collapse. It can be a pump and dump. It could just be all hype, and then everyone sells out, and then whoever bought it at the top, they lose everything, So that's extremely important to understand, that this is extremely high risk. It's insanely high risk. And for every person that is making good money, there's like 10 people, or 100 people that are losing everything. And a lot of times, by the time that you're hearing of like a crypto and wanting to get into it, it's probably too late. You've probably missed like the initial run up. You probably missed out on the 10,000, 20,000%, and you might get to double your money or triple your money, or you might just lose everything you put in. And then you might be having to wait to hope that someday it does well at some point or whatever. But yeah, just be really, really cautious of that. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit of kind of like the different like philosophies of these different cryptos. And again, the reason I'm not going to get into like which ones you should buy and what exchanges you should use is because this is seriously a journey. Like, I already don't want to like tell people what stocks necessarily to buy. I'll talk about a company in detail, but I'm never saying like you should buy this now or like whatever. I just want to educate people, right? And give people information so they can make their own decisions. And especially with crypto, I'm going to stay really far away from telling you to buy into anything, because if I tell you to buy a crypto, Like the volatility is so insane. If you haven't messed with it, you have no idea. Okay, you'll watch your money go up, down. You won't even know. Like you won't know when to sell, when to buy more. There's no way to know what the hell is happening, and you could lose everything. And I want no part in someone losing thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, right? And again, the point is that I want to make is that this really, if you're going to go into crypto, you can't be listening to people. You need to self-educate, learn as much as you can, and don't get your information from just one person. Don't believe too much of anything that you hear. Like, you need to have your own foundation of knowledge. It is not a get rich quick, easy thing. You're going to look on Twitter and YouTube, and you're going to see a video of maybe a certain coin or whatever, and then you're going to go through the comments and you're going to see 10,000 different other coins that are better, or that you should get into now, or it's just about to like get started on its crazy run up, or someone's going to be like, oh, I just like quadrupled my money, get into this now, it's got more to do or higher to go or whatever. It really has to be a thing that you take on your own. No one can help you with this, okay? So yeah, that's which is why I'm making this video the way that I am, where I'm very, very serious about that. Like, you have to be so careful, and you have to really be willing to lose or to let go of whatever money you put into a crypto, especially if you're going to get into the ones I'm going to talk about, which are like the smaller cap ones. Because I don't really love Bitcoin's cool, Ethereum's cool, but those already had their like incredible runs, and yeah, I do believe that those still have room to triple, quadruple over the next few months or year or whatever, right? I'm not saying don't buy those at all, and those are probably the safer ones to buy. The small cap ones that I'm looking at, where I want to make crazy gains, I don't advise that, because I expect to probably lose a good amount of money on most of them, if not all of them, and then maybe one or two are going to do incredibly well, and then hopefully cover my losses. I would love for all of them to do well, but it's super high risk. So but I do think that if you want to get into crypto, getting into like the top 10 or the top 5, if you just want to get started, those are probably the better ones to do. I'm not endorsing any of them, but you might see like days where it goes up and down 20-30% sometimes. Again, they're extra volatile. It's not the same as normal stocks, and they're able to be traded anytime. So just keep that in mind. But the ones that I'm looking for, again, like, are the ones where it only has like a couple $1 million of market cap, and it could possibly get $1 billion or $500,000 or a few $1 billion put into it, whether it's hype or the project that it is turns out to be really cool or innovative or whatever, or celebrities start endorsing it or whatever, right? Or it's had some improvements to like its system, to its protocols, whatever. Those are the ones that I'm looking at, because I want to get in early, have this like a coin that has like $100 million market cap go to $1 billion or $5 billion, and then I want to cash out. Unless I love the project and I want to hold it forever, but you get what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And then like when you, and I guess my other example is like, if you look at Bitcoin, it's worth $1 trillion, the whole thing, right? All the coins combined. So if someone puts $1 billion into it, it makes a small dent in the price, like a really small one. But if someone puts $1 billion into a tiny coin, it, you know what I mean? Especially if it has even less than like 100, like a 50 million or a $2 million, whatever, you'll make so much money off of that. Like, you'll be a multimillionaire or a millionaire, depending on the amount that you have, if you get lucky and find that coin before something cool happens to it. And like, that's what I'm looking for. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, I guess I should talk a little bit more. My analogy with the different buying something in China or in Europe. The reason I want to talk about that, and again, this is not a tutorial. If anyone wants me to like explain in more detail like how to use the different apps and exchanges, it's just a lot to show, and there's so many different kinds. And I don't even know which ones are necessarily my favorite yet. I'm still going through, and I have a bunch of digital wallets, a bunch of different exchanges. They're you can, I guess I'll just name a few, but like you can obviously use Coinbase, you can use Binance, you can use KuCoin, you can use CoinGecko. Um, there's a Trust Wallet. Crypto is another app, literally just called Crypto. Um, I just started using one called Trade Ogre, and then there's still other ones where you do like when you can't buy something on these exchanges, then there's these other ones called like Uniswap. There's like Pancake Swap. There's like a waffle one or something. Like there's so many different ways that you can buy things and trade things and exchange things, that that's the part that can kind of seem overwhelming because you can hear about this coin, but then you're like, how do I buy it? And a lot of times like people don't even like know exactly how to buy it. They've heard of it, but then you got to like research like a lot of times you have to trade a crypto for a different crypto to be able to get that crypto, and then once you have that crypto that you've traded like two cryptos for, then you're able to like put that and import that into like your personal wallet, or if it accepts it. So it gets really complicated, or it seems really complicated at first, and I suppose it is, but it's really not that hard. But yeah, so that's why I was saying earlier, where like a way to look at it, those exchanges is just imagine that it's like a different country or something. And so if it's like a Chinese cryptocurrency, and I'm just using it as example, then it's as if like it's pretending that a penny stock that you can't buy it, unless you have that particular currency. So let's pretend that this is a Chinese penny stock and I have to buy yen so that I can buy the stock, right? So I would take my cash, I would convert that with an exchange into yen, or if it's a European thing into euros, or if it's a Mexican stock, then into pesos. And then with those pesos, then I can buy the stock and now I own it. And then the cool thing with the crypto thing is that, you can then, now that you own that stock, you can actually still have that and put that in your wallet. You don't have to leave it over there. You can import it to like your personal wallet or bank or however you want to look at that. So I hope if that makes sense. So yeah, a lot of these coins that are not stable coins yet, that don't have billion-dollar market caps, aren't on the main exchanges where you can easily just trade your cash for it. You'll have to trade. So like oftentimes right now, you'll have to buy like Ethereum or BNB. That's another one. I think Tether is another one that you can buy. You can also buy like USDT, which is like a token, I think, that is like tied to the US dollar. So it's like a crypto that represents US currency. But again, it's you'll have to trade crypto to buy crypto, or you swap it or whatever. So that's kind of what that is. So yeah, now I'll break down kind of like some of the different like kinds of cryptos, because and then I'll talk about like philosophy behind them a little bit, and then sort of how personal philosophy is important when it comes to that. So there's, like I said, there's like the stable coins that are established. They're probably not going anywhere anytime soon. They're constantly working on their how efficient they are and what they're able to do. And then you'll have coins. I'll just get right into like you'll have like a meme coin, and like there's a lot of joke coins. Like people are just making like there's a new one called like Safe Cookie. I'm sure you've heard of some of the other silly ones like you know. Actually, I'm not going to start naming them. I don't want people to start thinking I'm endorsing any of them. But there's like you can literally invest in something that is just funny, people, because it's not that hard to make a crypto or like a blockchain or anything like that. You can basically like copy and paste at this point how another crypto functions, and then just put your name on it, like, get that up somewhere, and then and then once that's on a couple different exchanges or platforms, then suddenly people can buy it, and then you just start trying to pump it and whatever. So, which is the other really dangerous thing, is that like people can say whatever they want on a website, they can promise whatever, and there's always a chance that it's a total scam. It could be someone who made a cryptocurrency, made like a billion coins, and then you're getting in cheap, but maybe they own half of all the billion coins, and so then all these people put in their money, and perhaps that person who created the coin is watching their half a billion coins just like explode in value, and then they cash out, and then everyone else loses their money, and then they can even just like close the whole thing down, because what the whole point of like the crypto thing is, it's encrypted. You can get caught for scamming people, but it's really hard, right? And if you're good, you might not ever get caught. And a lot of people have lost a lot of money thinking that they're buying some really cool crypto, and it's just not that cool. So yeah, be really careful with that. And so when it comes to like sort of the different philosophies of these different cryptocurrencies, like you have some that are just trying to sort of establish themselves as like efficient, incredibly secure, maybe have like kind of bonuses or incentives to buy or to hold the tokens, or sometimes even to use it. Again, everyone is different, but others might be more into like, part of the money that comes into it ends up getting donated to charity. Those are ones I like more too. There's a few that are getting kind of popular, and yeah, they'll pick a charity, and then people buy in, and some of that money just keeps getting put into this pool, and then when it hits like a certain goal, that money gets donated. And obviously like that donating and that whole sort of like positive pay it forward aspect behind it attracts attention. And then so like let's say like you're in on this cryptocurrency and it keeps doing charity, and the more people are like, oh, this crypto community keeps doing all these nice things, helping people, helping cure cancer or build housing or help the homeless or whatever, that brings in attention. And so then if you're early in on that and people keep buying and that little bit keeps getting donated to charity, but your coins keep becoming more valuable, that could be a really cool incentive for you to like be in it, to hold it, and possibly allow you to make a lot of money and helping people at the same time. And a lot of the times like those cryptos will have like a community of people that are like talking. Some of them will have like Twitch streams. Obviously they're on Twitter and like Reddit. They might have forums where people can talk to. I'm not hyping Doge, but like that's one of the things that I love about Doge is the community, and that's why I'm so into it. Is like actually even right now I'm actually missing a Twitter space, and there's also like a live stream that these people that I know host I think every night actually, but I check it out every once in a while. But it's literally like thousands of people just get together and like talk about things. And why I like the Doge one so much is like it's the most positive, like helpful. Like we've got people who are taking like going, like this one guy's awesome. He's going to a high level professional accountant, and he's taking questions that people have about taxes and crypto and whatever. He's taking all his questions, going to the accountant, and he's going to be sharing that information with everybody in these Twitter spaces. So it's like it's a lot of education. People are new to the crypto space, and so we have people that have been in it for longer that share their information. We also have we've had NFL players, we have like famous YouTubers, we have people with like millions of followers, people who are like super millionaires that come in there. And what's awesome about that is in these Twitter spaces, again, this is not just about Dogecoin. There's other communities that are doing their own thing too. And, find the one that you like and check it out, see what works for you. I'm just explaining what happens in this one in particular, because I spend the most time in this one, is, the coolest thing is that you'll have, there'll be the few main speakers in the Twitter space. And again, there'll be a multimillionaire who's best friends with Kanye and has a famous podcast. And then we'll have someone else who's a speaker who has no following, has maybe 52 followers on Twitter, but everyone gets treated equal. No one is above anyone else, no matter how rich and cool or whatever. Everyone is just helping each other. People try not to interrupt each other when they're asking questions. There are no dumb questions. People will answer questions that have already been answered before so that everyone gets good information. People will give good advice, or tell their life story, oh, this person was a veteran. Oh, this person is dealing with cancer, or there's just everyone gets to share their story, learn a lot. And, that in itself is something that's really cool, interesting, and beautiful. I can't even believe the amount of information that I've learned just from being in that community and listening. Because we have people that work on Wall Street, people that are financial advisors that have worked with Fortune 500 companies, have helped take companies public, and you get to talk to them and ask questions, and it's just that, and it again, not to pump it, but that's why I am so heavily invested in Doge, is just because of the benefit, and the community is so good and so strong. And there's many like that. Like I will say, I don't want to pump any, but Ada Cardano is another one that, and then Elongate, which is a silly name, but those are two others that I'm not saying go buy it. Maybe go check them out, just because they're ones that I could say have like a positive goal, but they're not the only ones. There's tons, and I don't know all of them. But that's, again, when it comes to like a philosophy, some people might not care about the community. So another person might not want to even be in one of these forums and talking and listening to anybody. They just want to make some money. They've got a job, they've got a family, don't have time for that. They're just trying to like make a quick buck, or pay off some debt, buy a new car, upgrade their house or buy a house. Like everyone's got their own different thing, Like another coin that I really hate, I'm not going to say it, but that coin is, the whole purpose of it is to attack other coins and like take down other coins, which I can't stand. But it did make a good amount of money in the recently, and maybe that's someone's thing. I'm against that, but if it makes you money, whatever. And maybe you can make money off of that and then like do good things with it. So everyone is different. Just I don't want any part of that one in particular, because to me that's like dirty money. But that's my philosophy, right? And so to me, I think that's what is so cool about the crypto space, is that it's like this high risk, high reward game that you can play. And again, you can lose so much money. You can lose all your money. Do not put all your money, do not bank that this one crypto, because someone told you about it, is going to make you a millionaire overnight. Understand the market cap and like the coins and number of coins in circulation. You need to understand that stuff, because you might be buying into a coin that can never make you a millionaire. You know what I mean? So, or that each coin will never go, like, for example, like some people really think that like Doge can go to like, 20, 30, 40, $100,000 a coin, which is absolutely fucking impossible. It's not going to happen. Like even getting to $1, $2, $5, like that would be nuts, right? And that, like, it's 50 cents right now, 40 cents. So that's a crazy return. But yeah, just don't assume because you see Ethereum at $4,000 or Bitcoin at $60,000 that every coin can do that. If there's trillions of coins, like I saw one that had like a quadrillion coins, So yeah, no, that's not going to get to $55,000, times quadrillion. So I definitely try to like understand like what you're getting into and what your expectations are. The most important thing, like I was saying, is like every time you put money into like a crypto like that, especially if it's like a small cap or a micro cap, I'm serious. You have to be willing to like look at that, and maybe in like half an hour, all that money could be gone, because you don't know when it's gonna like drop or explode. You know what I mean? But you have to be ready to just be like, okay, I'm basically throwing this in a fire, and now there's gonna be numbers on the screen, and if anything good happens with that, cool. But expect it to just be gone. Expect to learn a lot of really painful lessons on how to lose money, and if you lose that money, just you'll have to think about like what went wrong. What did you do anything wrong? Did you believe something that you shouldn't have? Did you buy something at the top? Did you have some friend who was like, oh, I just 20x my money, or my $1,000 is now $30,000. You should get into this, and then you buy it, and then that was the top. Everyone is selling out because everyone made a killing off of it, and now you're like, oh my gosh, well, I was hoping to turn this $10,000 into like $100,000, but now my $10,000 is $100. Where's my money? And you might never get it back. So please, please, please be careful. And again, like the whole point of this rant or whatever I'm doing and saying is that you have to go and learn this on your own. No one can do this for you. You can follow some YouTubers and they can recommend things, but they get it wrong. Like all the time. Like some of my favorite people on the internet, they will recommend things and it's terrible, And a lot of times they're recommending not one, two, three. they're usually listing off like 10 coins that they're looking at. And then you watch another video the next week, they could have 15 different coins that now are interesting to them and the other ones weren't working out. And again, like the timeline, like this one that I bought that went crazy. I bought it, it stayed at the same, it went up a little bit, and then it went back down to right where I bought it, and I just forgot about it. The only reason I even like looked at it was because a friend was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of this coin?" I'm curious about it, and then I happened to check that wallet that I had it stored in, and then I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" Like it's. And then I checked, the price action, and it was taking completely off, and so but the reason I let it sit there was because like I just already had said goodbye to the money, and it wasn't very much money, and so I said goodbye, waited, and it took about like 3 weeks, and again, it completely unprecedented. I never would have predicted that like $10 billion, 11, $12 billion would have gotten pumped into it. I don't know where that money comes from. Like that's a lot of money. And it just, in just the course of a few days, got thrown in there. And then in the course of a few days is getting taken right back out of it too. Like that is not doing very well anymore. So again, be really careful. And okay, I might have missed a few points, but I hope you kind of understand, like, because my voice is running out, and that's causing me to like kind of like lose my concentration. But I think I've talked well more than enough on it. I'm happy to answer more questions, but I do want to talk about this recent thing, which is what motivated me to want to like go on this little rant here about or explanation or whatever testimonial is Elon tweeting, which is, I'm not mad about it anymore. I'm not mad about what he said. I'm mad about how people interpreted the information, because all he said was that he's suspending Tesla taking Bitcoin, like, so that you could buy a car with your Bitcoin. They were doing that for a little bit. But then apparently, mining is becoming more and more popular. And the goal that we kind of want with mining Bitcoin is to use excess energy on a grid, a lot of power that goes to people's houses, into neighborhoods, buildings, whatever, gets shoved in there and then like not used. So a lot of that excess energy can be used to mine Bitcoin, which, obviously each Bitcoin has a lot of value. So this energy that's being wasted can then become monetary value, and then that gets stored. So instead of the energy being wasted, it becomes a Bitcoin. And then if you get a Bitcoin out of all this like excess energy, you just turned excess energy into $55,000 to $60,000, $100,000, right? That's one like kind of perk of the mining and the whole system. Another thing is obviously using like solar panels to power these rigs, and whatever kind of like other renewable energy there is. So that's like the hope and like the ideal situation. But more people are starting to, have to use fossil fuels, coal, different like kinds of like dirty energy, which is kind of counter to what the kind of mission or again goal is with Bitcoin. It's not meant to cause more pollution, even though it is very energy intensive. It can definitely be done in a way that's energy responsible and also effective, and the opposite of wasteful, basically. But apparently, more people are using kind of dirty energy to mine Bitcoin, which is why Tesla just put out a statement simply saying that because more people are using these dirty energies, they're going to suspend it. And everyone lost their mind. It like, I couldn't believe it. People they just didn't understand it. I don't know if they like, what? But I think it's also like a lot of Bitcoin people were upset, and I think they got so emotional over it that they started spreading their like emotional opinions on the situation rather than really understanding what is going on. Because at no point did Elon say anything about Bitcoin being bad or not useful, never said that mining is inherently a bad thing. All he said was, we've noticed that there's been an increase in this type of mining that is polluting, which also touches on another thing that was really irritating to me, is that like a lot of people, so like basically all the crypto market, I mean the whole market in general, crypto and stock, tanked but crypto took a big hit. And this is crazy to me. And I've talked about this a few times, but man, people really, really, really don't understand something like just fundamentally important about investing and trading and actually making money. And that's that, okay, Bitcoin last night was worth $58,000 per coin. After that news broke and everyone got all pissed off, and I don't know what happened, but I guess people started selling off to the point where that same Bitcoin that last night around this time was worth $58,000 went down to $46,000. So per coin, each coin became $12,000 cheaper. That's crazy. But what's crazy to me is that people were upset by that. Like, people are genuinely pissed that Bitcoin, like, unless everyone was planning on selling their Bitcoin today at $58,000, most people are still buying, right? Bitcoin, or wanting to buy and wanting to get into it, and like all these different cryptocurrencies. But it's still like the most insane phenomena to me that when these things become cheaper, just like I was saying with stocks in the market being red all the time lately, that people get upset. People were actually pissed that Bitcoin is now $46,000. Like a discount of like what, well, like almost like 20% or something. You could get it cheaper than it's been for a long, long time. And people are mad. Like, I don't even know how to put that sort of insanity into words, how to make people like understand how these are like all, because that's, of course, it's going to go back to $58,000. So by buying that Bitcoin today at that price of $46,000, you, in my mind, basically guarantee that you're going to make $12,000, and you can make that $12,000 in a week. It might be a month. I'm not going to even pretend to be able to predict when that recovers, but it could be soon. And so you buy that Bitcoin for 46, and you make 12,000 on that easy, no work. You just let it sit there and let it do its thing. And all these people are upset about that everything became cheaper, and it gives them an opportunity to make a crazy amount of money. And so that's just like a thing that, like, when you see this like volatility, that's your time to strike, And I can't say with every coin, and I can't promise that every coin is going to recover. I can't control what every dip looks like or whatever. But to me, that's like a no-brainer. Like, I don't think Bitcoin's necessarily going anywhere, especially just over a tweet that people are misunderstanding. Like, he didn't even say he's going to stop completely, like, you working with or using or buying or holding Bitcoin. Literally just said, we're taking a break from accepting it. That's it. And that they are looking at using another cryptocurrency. And by the way, Doge and a few others. There's a list of all the different ones. Bitcoin does take a lot of energy, and it's because it's so incredibly secure and so heavily encrypted, right? There's a reason for it to take so much energy. It's super, super, super safe. And but yeah, Doge is one. Like, I believe it's like something like 707 like kilowatt hours or kilowatts per hour used to process like a Bitcoin. So keep that in mind, 707. And then, for example, to do a transaction with Doge is 0.12. So 12 cents. Or sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Not cents, but 0.12 kilowatts per hour. I said that, I don't know why I said cents. It's just because there was a decimal point. But do you understand that difference? Like 707 and then 0.12. That's a crazy, 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 crazy difference in efficiency there. So that's why he was like, it might not make sense for us to be using this. That is, people are mining with it and then polluting in a way that is a little bit contrary to like kind of or counter to the mission. And so, that's just kind of all. He's looking for like a cheaper, more efficient alternative. Nothing wrong with Bitcoin. Didn't say anything bad about Bitcoin itself. Just was voicing some concern about the way it's mined and the pollution. And then, man, like Twitter, the internet just like went nuts. people making these like short clips complaining, and then like the thing they're complaining about isn't even real. It isn't even what he said. Um, so yeah, just keep in mind about like, I don't know, volatility and keeping your head on straight, and like making sure that when you read something that you really understand what is being said, and definitely don't take someone else's interpretation, because it looked like only like one in every like 500 people really understood what he was saying, and then also like one in every like 1,000 people was like, this is a good thing, everything is on sale right now, buy the dip, like, because most people are just freaking out saying this is terrible, like the market's crashing, and it's like, you know that this is just like an in the moment thing. It might last a few hours, it might last a couple of days, it's going to go back to normal, and all these cryptos are still going to just keep growing in value and everything. So yeah, that's probably way more than long enough. I kind of meant for this whole thing to be like a lot more condensed. Yeah, my voice hurts. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Have a good night.